Zacks Rank Buys, stocks with a short-term buy or strong buy recommendation. Now, here are more Zacks Rank Buys. Momentum stock picks? Yes, we have them for you, and we're going to talk about a couple of them right now with Mike Vodicka, our Momentum stock strategist at Zacks.com. You like that new title?
That's nice.
Stock strategist,
yeah.
huh?
Sounds good.
Moving up in the world, lad. Whole Foods market you've written about recently, WFMI, the ticker symbol, in the grocery business. Everybody recognizes
Yeah, they have a national presence. Whole Foods is in 38 states. I'm sure a lot of our listeners have heard of the company, but to expand upon the details a little bit, it's
organic groceries.
Yeah, absolutely, organic groceries. So it definitely caters to more of a higher end audience.
How do you make cookies organic? I always wondered that.
That's a good question. Maybe you use organic ingredients like soy milk, for example.
I can't figure it out.
At any rate, they have 300 stores. A total of 300 stores, about 284 domestic, and they also have a small presence in England and Canada, so mostly a domestic operation. But Whole Foods has actually been around since 1978, so they have a pretty solid 30-year history, actually.
Yep.
Market cap of $6 billion, so it's a mid cap. It's a kind of a nice capitalization between small and large. But we saw Whole Foods really start to struggle with the downturn of the economy because of their higher price points. So there was a lot of downward pressure on their share price for actually a number of years. Starting in about late 2006, we started seeing a downtrend. But the company was aware of their issues. They kind of initiated a couple of new strategies to focus on their core customers, become more operationally efficient. And what we've seen is we've really seen them start to come out of that downward pattern. The actual fundamental results have been better, and in turn, we've seen a lot of upward movement on their share price. Recently, first quarter results were really nice. Year over year, revenue gains of 7% to $2.6 billion. And then, of course, they had the nice earnings beat, 32 cents per share, which was 6 cents ahead of the Zacks consensus estimate. They've beaten each quarter, for the last 4 quarters, they've beat by an average of 23%. So they're easily surpassing analyst expectations right now.
I'd say, yeah.
They have $570 million in cash right now, $734 million in debt. So that's a pretty nice cash position. It's not the debt load isn't going to be overwhelming for them. It's manageable, so not too much of a problem on that front. The next year estimate, analysts are looking for 13% growth, so they do see a longer-term trend of positive results. Valuation picture. It's a little bit pricey, trading at 27 times right now, but it is a growing company. They do have the nice next year growth projection, so that kind of tempers the valuation a bit. And then finally, moving on to the chart, what I said before is we actually saw shares of Whole Foods bottom out at only $7 in November of 2008. And recently, it crossed $35. So people who got in, a couple years ago have experienced some really nice gains.
All right. And Priceline.com, PCLN, ticker symbol, is another company that you've written about recently. This is the company that William Shatner does the commercials for?
That's exactly,
right?
yeah.
The deal-making company.
Yeah, he was their spokesperson for, I think it was 10 years, and then just last year his contract came up for a renewal, and they went ahead and scooped him up again, so he's still on board at Priceline.
Yeah, they're good. It's a good marketing strategy. The commercials are memorable.
Absolutely, it's done well. Yeah, that's why they brought him back in.
Did it translate well for the company? Their marketing do a good job?
Yeah, I mean, Priceline has been a big success story for a number of years. We did see their share price take a pretty serious hit in the downturn about, which was the fall of 2008. It bottomed out at $42, and recently it topped off at $242.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that's up 6 times. That's up roughly 500% in just the last 14 months. So
I'd keep booking Shatner too if that happened to my company.
So they've rebounded really nicely, and it definitely ties into what we've seen on the fundamental side. Their fourth quarter results that we saw recently, revenue was up 32% year over year. They had the really nice earnings beat, $1.74, 32 cents ahead of the Zacks consensus estimate. And what they said that they're seeing really strong growth in their international division. Their international revenue, which comprises 40% of total revenue, was up 75% year over year. So that's just incredible. And it makes sense though because Priceline, they cater to the value-conscious travelers.
Right.
So it plays right into what's happening with the economy.
And if you're traveling these days, how can you not be value-conscious?
Absolutely, yeah. So they have moving into some of the details of the fundamentals. They have a nice cash position of $604 million. They only have $196 million of debt. They paid down $75 million in debt last quarter, so they're making progress on that front. The next year estimates projecting 20% earnings growth. PE of 22 times, that's pretty reasonable for a company like this because this is a company that can spit out a lot of gains as we've seen from their share price. And then moving on to the chart, which we kind of touched on before, we saw shares bottom out at around $43 in 2008, and now we're up to about $230, so there's been some massive gains here.
All right. Do you own either of these two?
No, I don't.
All right. Well, I appreciate you stopping by for this little get-together. And if you want to take a look at more Zacks Rank Buy stock pick ideas, go to Zacks.com, our homepage, and look over in the upper right-hand corner. That's where we put 4 new stock pick ideas up for you daily, one in each of the investing categories written about on Zacks.com. With Mike Vodicka, I'm Terry Ruffalo.